Okay, we're at step 16 on the guide sheet, right? Lining and finishing. Basically, what it's told us to do is, as I said earlier, turn in the seam allowance on the lower edge of the bodice lining and press. All right, and here we are on the garment itself. See, I've turned it up. Also, I serged it, turned it up, and pressed it. Now, in my case, remember, I added a lining to this. I wanted a little stiffer feel than what the actual fabric gave. So if you've done that as well, all I've done is treated it, stitched it, this interfacing to the fabric, and then handled it as a single piece darts, just like the outer fabric. So what we've got now is it says pin the lining to the bodice, and that's what I've done. This is the lining. See, it's the Seth lining, same fabric that I had enough of that I'm using as the lining, and we're basically just pinning it, matching the little dots. See here, stopping right here where it says stop at the dots, or right below the dots. But we are pinning around the upper neck, all right, leaving the shoulder free, then coming back right below the dot. We are matching the seam. See, the seams are matched on this side and the other side. Then pinned all the way around to the next dot, which is where we should stop. So these will need to come out because I'm only sewing up to this mark. Then on the front, where the little triangle is, we're starting just below that and then continuing around to where this is like a pivot here. We'll stitch down, lead the needle in, lift the presser foot up, turn, and stitch across. So everything has been pinned. The entire front has been pinned all the way around, and you see this little patchwork interfacing I have, which is not going to show on the outside. And besides, this is going to be on the inside of the garment anyway. This right here, this is the outer fabric, so that's not going to show. I just didn't have enough to put on a fold. So we did kind of a patching piece basically, and it's interfacing fusible. So that's been pressed down. All right, pinned all the way around to the next shoulder, then go up and stopping at the little triangle, then around. You'll see where the small dot is, a small circle, and we just continue all the way around. So it's been pinned. Let me pull it all out. Trying to hold it and show you as well. So see, I pinned it, and we back at the next side seam. We match the side seams, okay, over here and the back. So that's been matched. And normally this would be flat on the table, so you could see the entire piece. Okay, then all the way around to the small dot. These will come out because I pinned this at the top so that the shoulder seams, they match. Move this out the way so there's no reflection. Where the shoulder seams are going to match, I didn't want those off, so I pinned it and then matched the dots and then pin the rest away. But these will come out because I'm not sewing past the small circle or small dot, if you want to call it that. And then the back neck, here we are. We've got our little triangle here. We'll start stitching here and stitch around and off. See, zippers over here, the zipper is open, and I will just stitch right across that tape. So then once that's done, we're going to trim some of this excess off, because we're going to turn all of this over. All this is going to be turned to the inside once it's all stitched. So it's quite a bit to stitch, but just hang in there. Just start at this side and work your way all the way around, stopping and starting where necessary. All right. Okay, we will go ahead and stitch that and come back, and we will, next thing it says is that we will trim it, of course, and understitch the lining as far as possible. So I'll show you what that means. All right, so I stitched it, the back neck around to the shoulder, and then came back underneath the marking and went around the arm's eye. If I can lay it flat. All the way around the arm's eye, stitched it up to the next small, just up to the next small circle, stopped, started again up the beginning through that triangle. Initially I think I said to stop at the triangle, but actually the guide sheet shows that we should stitch through it. So I stitched through it to the end, everywhere the triangle was. It's going to be a connecting point when we get ready to match these shoulders together. All right, that's basically all that is. So that was stitched all the way around, and came back, and as you can see, I have trimmed it. Okay, better light. Okay, and I just took the scissors and just trimmed it down to about 3/8 of an inch all the way around, except for where I have not sewn yet or tucked under. I left at the 5/8 of an inch. I'll trim it later. So trimmed it, starting again here around that arm's eye. See, and I clipped the corners here. So you're just trimming down some of the bulk when you turn it. So I just trimmed those at an angle. All right, now I want to pay close attention to where we have our little square neck, because as you stitch down and made that pivot, made a corner, when I trimmed, I started here at the top, trimmed down, then I clipped right at an angle where the where the pivot is, and do not put your scissors past where you want to cut. All right, so I just clipped that at an angle, so it just trims down some of the excess. So it's not past the stitching. I didn't clip the stitching where we stitched the seam. I just clipped to the stitching. Okay, same thing on the other side. Same thing on the other side with the scissors. Clipped it and then stitched it around the remainder of the way. All right, now what we're going to do is basically they're saying to understitch. So this with my lining, underlining, interfacing that I'm using, this side, which is the wrong side here, and the facing, which is the facing, we are going to turn this over. All right, turn it over to the right side. Now understitching is you are just catching the seam that we just trimmed, right? Which is from an angle, see the seam. We are understitching it on top, meaning that we are catching all the layers. So it's the facing and it is the outer fabric, but we are finger pressing this toward the facing, not toward the garment. it's going to be toward the facing. And then on the right side, we're going to stitch right along next to the seam to catch that excess seam. All right, all of this is going to be, like I said, pressed toward the facing, away from the garment. Okay, away from the actual outer fabric. So it's going to be pressed toward the facing, and then stitch down on the right side. All right, now you have to continually, as you're sewing this, to make sure underneath, I'm just feeling it underneath to make sure that that seam is going in the direction that I want it to go, right? And when they say as understitch it as far as you can, in this case, throughout the entire piece, you won't be able to understitch it all the way around because you can't get your needle between the straps. All right, so as you see, when I turn it on the right side, facing down, the facing is on the back. It will just, the understitching just helps to keep that seam from rolling back up, or it shows on the outer part of the garment like this. Sometimes you may see someone, if they've made it at home, we're making it at home and it's going to look great, but sometimes they may not know that understitching is actually just catching that excess seam, and it's just a little small stitch. So I'm going to stitch it all the way around, understitch it as far as I can, and come back and show you what that looks like. All right. Okay, I'm at the machine and I wanted to just show you, just to be sure that we are on the same page. So I started stitching. See if we can see this. As I was showing you at the table, just alongside of the edge. Kind of looks like a bow, right? So you're just keeping a nice little stitch going all the way around as far as you can. Now, the trick to this is that you're also trying to make sure that you don't feel the seam going in the opposite direction, right? So you're kind of maneuvering the fabric underneath on the wrong side, but you're maneuvering it from the right side, right? So you've got to just kind of feel that seam is going in the right direction. Okay, so see how I have it placed at the machine? It's you're just moving the fabric in, making sure it fits in between. All right, and then I'm going to stitch close to the edge all the way to the end. That's like to the shoulder strap. All right, and at the same time, keeping the seam going in, keeping the seam toward the right, away from the outer fabric, keeping the seam going toward the facing. All right, so let's see if I can catch some of it here as we stitch along. Okay. And then I will stop with my needle in, and I'm making sure, I'm just feeling underneath to make sure again that it hasn't slipped over to the left, that it's still here going toward the facing. And we simply stitch that all the way around. I know it looks, it doesn't look smooth, but once you finish it, it will look great once you remove it from the machine and have it turned on the right side. So I'm just going to go ahead and complete it, and we'll see what it looks like once we're done. Okay, as you can see, my understitching here from on the zipper, just at the edge here, all the way around to the top of the shoulder, right? So I was able to get my fabric between the foot and stitch it all the way around. It's just a matter of maneuvering the fabric underneath the presser foot, you know, and pushing it through. This is that, so you can see what the understitching looks like. See, and see how it lays. It lays so nice, and holds that facing down, so it doesn't pop up from underneath the outer fabric, so you don't see the facing on the outside. All right, same thing all the way around. See where I started here? This is, we have to come back and we're going to slip stitch this, so by hand. But the rest of it, starting here all the way around, and then pushing it, have to push it through up to the shoulder as far as I can take it. Then around the top of that front shoulder, see, and even in the area where it's a square now. So we got the square neck and top stitched all the way around, did a little pivot, and just continued all the way around. So it's going to lay like this because we're going to press it, but it should lay flat. The facing will not pop from underneath the garment and pop up. This understitching holds it down. So see, we've got a nice little job all the way around the entire top of the garment. Okay. Fabric is just a matter of how to just move it around. You got to tame it like you tame hair. Okay. So then we're going to press it. See how we've done all the way around. That's the other end. Okay. So now our next set of instructions may not say press, but we're going to press this down. Then we're going to attach the shoulders. All we're doing with attaching the shoulders, taking the back, see the back here, and then taking a front piece, laying them just like this, but you're only going to sew. You're going to start here where the opening is. Okay? You're going to pin it, match the seams, and go all the way around. Pin it that way. I'm going to show you. I pinned this, made a second, put a second pin here. All right, and then I've got a pin in my mouth. Okay, so 1 second. Match those the seams. Put a pin there. Then take it around. We're gonna match the other edge. So, in essence, it kind of looks weird, but you're just stitching this little circle here, and the guide, the instructions will show you that's going to be like number 19, and you could probably get a better feel for it, but it's the exact same thing I've showed you. From the edge over, matching those seams, then over, continue stitching across, and then once you finish that and you open it out, you're going to turn the lining in, and you'll have your shoulder at the top. That's what you'll have here on this that we pinned together. So if I turn this on the right side, you will see that the shoulder is forming. It's just a little hard to see with my holding the camera and trying to pin it and down so you could see it at the same time. Alright, but it actually becomes a little shoulder strap, and you'll fold it under like that, and we'll have the shoulder. Alright, let's keep moving. Basically, I wanted to show you what it looks like when it's pinned together, right? See, I taken it, matched the, lined up the edges, pinned it, matched the seam here, see, right here and right there, pinned that, and then you're just turning it around so you can have another pin it, and then you're at the edge, just like the guide sheet shows, except for it's a little hard to visualize when you're working with piece of fabric compared to it being a drawing on the paper. So then I will stitch it 5/8 of an inch all the way around, okay? Then we will come back and we will see that it actually is the shoulder once you open it up, right? See, now that I've turned it, pins are still in it. I haven't sewn it yet. See, you can still see the pins. But I just wanted to show you what it looks like once it's stitched down. See, everything kind of lines up. Here's your shoulder, and you've got your one shoulder together. It's coming along quite nicely. See, there you go. There's your shoulder. And then we'll do the other side the exact same way. Pin it, sew it, and then we will have our back. We have the dress pretty much taken care of. Those shoulders are matched there. Then all we need to do, alright, will be to slip stitch this facing to the garment. We'll do a little hand stitch around, and we will have our belt. Basically, you're doing the rest is kind of handwork, hook and eye, and hemming, and a belt, and we'll be done with this dress. Okay, moving right along. I just wanted you to see what that looks like. See, it doesn't look all that great pinned, but once it's done, it starts to pull together.